Betrayal can destroy your trust, your confidence, and even the way you see people. But what if betrayal only has the power you give it? Once you understand a few brutal truths about human nature, betrayal stops feeling like the end of your world. You stop begging for answers, chasing closure, and questioning your worth. In this video, we're going through powerful lessons that will change the way you see betrayal forever and make you much harder to break. 1. Accept that betrayal is a choice. One of the hardest truths about betrayal is also one of the most important. Betrayal is a choice. When someone lies to you, cheats on you, breaks a promise, exposes something you trusted them with, or deliberately chooses someone else while pretending to be loyal to you, it is tempting to search for a reason that makes the pain easier to understand. You start asking questions like, what did I do wrong? Was I not good enough? What could I have done differently? And those questions can keep you trapped for months, or even years. Because when someone betrays you, your mind naturally wants to find a way to make the situation logical. You want to believe there must have been something you could have done to prevent it. That illusion gives you a sense of control. If it was your fault, then maybe you can fix yourself and make sure it never happens again. But that's not always how betrayal works. Sometimes you can love someone deeply, and they will still choose to lie. You can be loyal, and they can still be unfaithful. You can communicate honestly, show up for them, support their dreams, forgive their mistakes, and give them opportunities to be better. And they can still make a decision that violates your trust. That doesn't mean you were perfect. Nobody is. Every relationship has mistakes, misunderstandings, and moments where both people could have done better. But imperfection is not the same thing as deserving betrayal. This distinction matters because people often use their own mistakes to excuse someone else's behavior. They think, maybe I wasn't affectionate enough, or maybe I was too busy, or maybe I pushed them away. And while those things might be worth reflecting on, they do not automatically justify deception. A mature person communicates when something is wrong. They set boundaries. They ask for change. They leave when a relationship no longer works. Betrayal is different because it involves choosing deception, disloyalty, or violation of trust, instead of dealing with the problem honestly. Think about it this way. If someone is unhappy with you, they have options. They can talk to you. They can tell you what they need. They can create distance. They can end the relationship. They can walk away. But if they stay while secretly violating your trust, that decision belongs to them. And once you understand this, something powerful happens. You stop carrying responsibility for another person's character. You can take responsibility for your own mistakes without taking responsibility for their betrayal. That's a major difference. Imagine discovering that a close friend has been talking badly about you behind your back while acting supportive to your face. Your first instinct might be to replay every conversation you've ever had with them. Maybe you wonder whether you were too successful, too distant, too outspoken, or somehow made them feel insecure. But even if you did something they disliked, they still had a choice. They could have spoken to you directly. They could have created distance. Instead, they chose to pretend everything was fine while behaving differently behind your back. That is information about them, and this is where betrayal can become a teacher instead of a prison. You don't have to spend the rest of your life trying to understand every reason someone betrayed you. Sometimes the most important answer is simply that they made a choice that revealed something about their character. This doesn't mean you should become cynical and assume everyone is untrustworthy. It means you become more realistic. You learn that love doesn't guarantee loyalty. History doesn't guarantee character. Promises don't guarantee behavior. People still have free will, and because they do, you can never completely control whether someone will betray you. You can choose carefully. You can set boundaries. You can watch patterns. You can communicate clearly. You can pay attention to character, but you cannot control another person's decisions. Accepting that truth may feel frightening at first, but it is actually liberating. Because if you cannot control whether someone betrays you, you don't have to spend your life trying to become perfect enough to prevent betrayal. You don't have to constantly perform for someone's loyalty. You don't have to become more attractive, more successful, more agreeable, or more useful just to keep someone from leaving. You simply need to become someone who knows what they will and will not tolerate. And if someone eventually chooses to betray you, you can respond without destroying yourself. You can say, "I didn't choose this, but I can choose what happens next." That's where your power returns. Because betrayal becomes far more destructive when you believe it says something about your worth. But when you understand that another person's choices are a reflection of their character, not a measurement of your value, you stop allowing their actions to define you. You may still hurt, you may still cry, you may still need time to process what happened, but you won't have to hate yourself for someone else's decision. And eventually, you reach a point where you can look back and say, "I trusted someone who didn't deserve that trust. I may have missed the signs, I may have made mistakes, but I was not responsible for their decision to betray me." This then mindset doesn't make you weak, it makes you free. So remember this, you are responsible for your choices, your boundaries, and your response. You are not responsible for controlling another person's character. Once you truly understand that, betrayal can hurt you, but it doesn't have to break you. 2. Don't confuse their betrayal with your worth. One of the most dangerous things betrayal can do is make you question your worth. Someone lies, cheats, abandons you, or breaks a promise, and suddenly you turn their behavior into a verdict about yourself. You start thinking, maybe I wasn't attractive enough, successful enough, interesting enough, or loving enough. Before you realize it, you're no longer examining their decision. You're putting yourself on trial for it. Understand this clearly. Someone's decision to betray you is not a measurement of your worth. You can be a good person and still be treated badly. You can be loyal and still be lied to. You can give someone your best and still receive their worst. That doesn't mean you were worthless. It means you trusted someone whose choices didn't match the trust you gave them. If a friend told you their partner cheated, you probably wouldn't tell them they weren't good enough. You'd tell them the decision was on their partner. But when it happens to you, you become much harsher with yourself. Why? Because self-blame creates the illusion of control. If you convince yourself that you caused the betrayal, you can believe that becoming better will prevent it from happening again. But you could become more disciplined, attractive, successful, and loving, and you still couldn't control another person's character. People make their own decisions. That's why you need to separate your value from their behavior. This doesn't mean ignoring your mistakes. Maybe you neglected the relationship. Maybe you failed to communicate. Maybe there are things you need to improve. Own them, learn from them, become better. But don't turn accountability into self-hatred. There is a huge difference between saying, "I made mistakes," and saying, "I deserve to be betrayed." The first is maturity. The second is self-destruction. Their inability to recognize your value doesn't erase it. And when betrayal involves replacement, don't turn the person they chose into a scoreboard for your worth. Someone choosing another person doesn't prove that person is better than you. Human relationships aren't mathematical rankings. People make choices based on countless factors, and their choice is not an objective measurement of your value. So when betrayal happens, don't ask, "What's wrong with me?" Ask better questions. What did this reveal about them? What did I ignore? What boundary should I have had? What can I learn from this? Those questions move you forward. You were never supposed to be perfect enough to control another human being. You were supposed to love honestly, choose people carefully, maintain your standards, and respect yourself when someone violates your trust. Your worth existed before that person entered your life and remains after they leave. So take the lesson, but leave the shame. You can admit that you trusted the wrong person without deciding that you are the wrong person. You can acknowledge that you missed the signs without believing that you deserved what happened. And you can walk away from betrayal without walking away from yourself. Because once you stop confusing someone's betrayal with your worth, you take away one of the most powerful weapons betrayal has over you. They may have broken your trust, they may have disappointed you, they may have left a wound, but they do not get to define your value. Your worth is not determined by who knows how to appreciate it. 3. Stop romanticizing the person who hurt you. One of the strangest things about betrayal is that you can know exactly what someone did to you and still miss them desperately. You can know they lied, you can know they disrespected you, you can know they broke your trust. And yet, your mind keeps replaying the good moments. You remember the way they looked at you, the conversations, inside jokes, trips, promises, and moments when they made you feel understood. You remember the version of them you believed was different. And this is where you can make a serious mistake. You can start romanticizing the person who hurt you. You don't miss the entire reality of that person. You miss the version of them that existed in the moments you felt safe, but those moments were only part of the story. The betrayal was part of the story too. When you're hurt, your brain reaches for the good memories because they're easier to hold than the truth. So you start rewriting the story. Maybe they weren't that bad. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe they really did love me. Maybe I should give them another chance. Maybe things would be different this time. And sometimes they might be. People can change, relationships can be repaired, but you should never make that decision based only on nostalgia. Nostalgia remembers how something felt. Wisdom remembers why it ended. That's the difference. Think about an old relationship that ended badly. When you're lonely, you remember the laughter, affection, and nights when everything felt perfect. But ask yourself an uncomfortable question. If the relationship was truly as perfect as your memory makes it seem, why did you have to leave? The answer matters. You cannot heal if you keep editing the past until the person who hurt you becomes a hero again. Maybe they gave you beautiful memories. That can be true. Maybe they supported you during difficult times. That can also be true. Maybe you genuinely loved them. Absolutely. But none of those truths erase the betrayal. Someone can have good qualities and still be wrong for you. Someone can love you in certain moments and still make choices that make a healthy relationship impossible. Someone can be important to your past without deserving a place in your future. This is why you need to stop asking only, "What did I love about them?" Ask, "How did I feel around them consistently? Did you feel secure? Could you trust their word? Did their actions match their promises? Could you express your concerns without being manipulated or dismissed? Did you feel respected when nobody else was watching?" Those questions reveal more than memories ever could, because a relationship should not be judged only by its highest moments. It should also be judged by its patterns. Imagine someone giving you incredible birthday celebrations while lying to you throughout the relationship. You might remember those birthdays forever, but they don't cancel out the dishonesty. One beautiful chapter doesn't rewrite an ugly ending. And this is especially important when you're tempted to go back, because you feel lonely. Loneliness is a terrible decision maker. When you're lonely, familiarity can feel like safety. You start thinking, "At least they knew me." But being known by someone is not the same as being respected by them. Familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar peace, simply because you've experienced it before. Don't mistake familiarity for compatibility. Sometimes you're not missing the person. You're missing the routine. You're missing the attention. You're missing having someone to call. You're missing the future you imagined. You're missing who you were when you believed everything would work out. And that's why you need to separate the person from the fantasy. The fantasy says, "They could have been the perfect partner." Reality says, "They showed me who they were through their choices." The fantasy says, "Maybe the good version will come back." Reality says, if they want another opportunity, their behavior, not my memories, must prove they have changed. That's a much healthier standard. Don't let potential compete with evidence. You cannot build a peaceful future with someone's potential while ignoring their pattern. Another trap is remembering only the best version of someone and believing that losing them was the greatest loss of your life. But sometimes you didn't lose the person you thought you were losing. You lost the illusion of who you thought they were. That hurts because you're grieving two things at once, the person and the future you imagined with them. But grief doesn't mean you made the wrong decision by leaving. You can miss someone and still know they aren't good for you. You can love someone and still refuse to return. You can forgive someone and still keep the door closed. You can remember the good without forgetting the bad. That's emotional maturity. So when your mind shows you a highlight reel of the person who betrayed you, don't fight the memories. Just add the missing footage. Remember the broken promises. Remember the anxiety. Remember the moments you knew something wasn't right. Remember how many times you questioned your own instincts. Remember what their actions ultimately revealed. Not to stay angry, not to hate them, but to stay grounded in reality. Because healing requires you to remember the whole person, not just the version you wish they had been. And eventually, something beautiful happens. You stop needing to make them a villain, but you also stop making them a saint. You can simply say, they had good qualities and gave me memories I value, but they also made choices I cannot accept. That is enough. You don't need to hate someone to move on from them. You just need to stop idealizing them. Because the moment you see the person clearly, instead of through the lens of loneliness, nostalgia, or wishful thinking, you become much harder to pull back into the same cycle. You stop chasing the version of them that existed in your imagination. You start respecting the evidence of who they actually were. And that is when betrayal loses another piece of its power over you. You no longer need the person who hurt you to become better before you can become better yourself. You simply accept the truth, take the lesson, and keep moving. Because sometimes the hardest part of letting someone go isn't losing them. It's letting go of the version of them you desperately wanted to believe was real. 5. Don't let one person ruin everyone for you. One of the most dangerous things betrayal can do is change the way you see everyone else. One person lies to you, and suddenly you assume everyone lies. One person cheats, and you start believing loyalty doesn't exist. One friend betrays you, and you begin questioning every friendship you have. That's understandable, but it's also dangerous, because when one person hurts you, you can accidentally punish innocent people for something they never did. You start looking for betrayal before you've even been given a reason to suspect it. Someone doesn't reply quickly, and you assume they're ignoring you. Someone makes plans without you, and you assume they're replacing you. Someone becomes quieter, and you immediately think they're hiding something. Your mind starts protecting you from a betrayal that hasn't happened. And now the person who hurt you is gone, but their influence is still controlling your relationships. That's not healing. That's carrying them into every room you enter. You need to understand something important. One person's character does not represent the character of everyone you meet. There are dishonest people. There are also deeply loyal people. There are people who will manipulate you. There are people who will protect your trust, even when they have nothing to gain. There are people who will disappoint you, and there are people who will stand beside you when everyone else leaves. The mistake is believing that one experience gives you permission to predict every future experience. It doesn't. Think about someone who gets cheated on in a relationship. Afterward, they may say, "I'm never trusting anyone again." But imagine meeting someone genuinely loyal after that. If you treat that new person as guilty because of what the previous person did, you aren't protecting yourself. You're destroying something good before it has a chance to grow. You're making someone else pay for a debt they never created. And eventually, this can become a self-fulfilling cycle. You expect betrayal, so you become suspicious. Your suspicion creates distance. The other person feels distrusted. They become frustrated. Communication breaks down. You interpret that distance as proof that you were right all along. And now your fear has created the very outcome you were trying to avoid. That's why healing requires discernment, not paranoia. Discernment says, I'll pay attention to your behavior. Paranoia says, I'll assume you're guilty until you prove me wrong. Those are not the same thing. After betrayal, you don't need to become naive again. You simply need to stop assuming everyone is guilty because one person was. Look at people individually. Judge them by their actions. Give them the opportunity to show you who they are. Don't make someone new spend years trying to prove they aren't like someone from your past. That's unfair to them, but it's also unfair to you. Because every time you expect the worst from people, you make it harder to experience the best they can offer. You may reject a loyal friend because you're afraid they'll eventually betray you. You may push away a healthy partner because you're waiting for the moment they become like your ex. You may refuse to be vulnerable because you remember what happened the last time you opened up. But vulnerability with the right people isn't weakness, it's part of connection. The answer isn't to give everyone unlimited access to you. The answer is to give people access based on what they consistently demonstrate. That's what makes boundaries powerful. You can protect yourself without becoming emotionally unavailable. You can be careful without being cold. You can remember what happened without allowing it to dictate what happens next. And this is where emotional maturity becomes important. A mature person understands that the past can teach you without controlling you. You can say, I've been betrayed before, so I know what warning signs to watch for. That's wisdom. But saying, everyone will betray me eventually, that's fear. Learn the difference. Maybe your previous partner lied to you. That doesn't mean your next partner will. Maybe a close friend betrayed your confidence. That doesn't mean every friend is secretly waiting to expose you. Maybe someone you loved abandoned you. That doesn't mean everyone you love will eventually leave. Different people deserve different judgments. And sometimes the best way to honor your past is not to repeat it. If someone hurt you because you trusted too quickly, don't respond by trusting nobody. Learn to trust gradually. If someone crossed your boundaries, don't respond by building walls around your entire life. Build stronger boundaries. If someone manipulated you, don't assume everyone is manipulating you. Learn to recognize manipulation. Take the lesson. Leave the bitterness. That's the balance. Because betrayal can teach you how to be more selective without teaching you how to be cruel. It can make you observant without making you suspicious of everyone. It can make you stronger without making you cold. And here's something you should remember. The person who betrayed you has already taken enough from you. Don't give them your ability to trust good people too. Don't let one person's dishonesty convince you to reject people who would have treated you with honesty. Don't let one person's betrayal make you miss out on friendships, relationships, opportunities, and connections that could have changed your life. Your future should not be designed around the worst person from your past. You are allowed to meet good people again. You are allowed to trust again. You are allowed to love again. And, most importantly, you are allowed to believe that your next experience can be different from your last one. Because healing isn't learning that nobody can hurt you. Healing is learning that even if someone hurts you again, you will know how to protect yourself without destroying everything good around you. Don't let one person's betrayal turn you against an entire world of people who never betrayed you. 6. Stop demanding closure from the person who hurt you. One of the hardest parts of betrayal is wanting an explanation that finally makes everything make sense. You want them to tell you why they did it. You want them to admit what they did. You want them to understand how deeply they hurt you. You may even believe that hearing the perfect explanation will finally allow you to move on. But here's the problem. The person who hurt you may never give you the closure you're looking for. They may lie, they may minimize what happened, they may blame you, they may change the story every time you ask, or they may simply refuse to explain themselves. And if your healing depends on them giving you a satisfying answer, you've handed them control over your peace. Closure doesn't always come from a conversation. Sometimes it comes from accepting what their actions already told you. You don't need someone to confess everything before you can believe what you experienced. You don't need them to agree that they hurt you before you're allowed to walk away. And you don't need them to feel guilty before you can begin healing. Think about how much energy people waste trying to get one final conversation right. They rewrite messages, they replay old arguments, they imagine what they should have said, they wait for a phone call that may never come. Meanwhile, their life continues while you're still waiting for permission to move forward. That's why you need to understand that closure is often a decision you make for yourself. You can look at the facts and say, "This person broke my trust. I don't need another explanation to know that I cannot continue like this." That's closure. It doesn't mean you understand every detail. It means you understand enough. There is also a dangerous habit of believing that if you could just understand why they did it, the pain would disappear. But sometimes an explanation doesn't make betrayal less painful. It simply gives your mind another detail to analyze. You discover one reason, then another question appears. But why did they hide it? Why didn't they tell me sooner? Why did they say they loved me? Why did they come back? The questions can become endless. At some point, you have to stop searching for an answer that changes nothing. The betrayal happened. The trust was broken. And now the question is no longer, why did they do it? The better question is, what do I choose to do with what I now know? That's where your power returns. You may never understand their motives completely, but you can understand your own boundaries. You can understand what you will no longer tolerate. You can understand what kind of people deserve access to you. And you can understand that peace doesn't require another person's cooperation. Sometimes closure is simply saying, "I wish I had received a better explanation, but I accept that I may never get one." That statement may feel painful at first, but it's also freeing, because once you stop waiting for them to complete your healing, you can finally start doing it yourself. You don't need the final word, you need the freedom to move forward. And sometimes the strongest closure is realizing that the person who hurt you no longer gets a vote in your future. You may still hope they eventually understand what they did. You may wish they would apologize without excuses, admit the truth, and finally give you the words you needed. But you cannot build your healing around a moment you cannot control. Sometimes closure is not a conversation. Sometimes it is simply the moment you stop asking someone else to explain why they hurt you and start accepting that their actions already gave you an answer. You may never know every thought that went through their head. You may never understand every motive, and you may never receive the apology you hoped for. But you can still choose peace. You can decide that what happened was enough information to change your direction. You can stop reopening the same wound, looking for a different ending. The truth is, you don't need someone who broke your trust to be the person who repairs your peace. You can give yourself the closure they were unable or unwilling to give. Sometimes the final conversation isn't with them. It's with yourself. You tell yourself, "It happened. It hurt me. I may never understand all of it, but I understand enough to move forward." And that can be enough. 7. Learn to walk away without needing revenge. One of the strongest things you can learn is how to walk away from someone without needing to destroy them on the way out. When someone betrays you, disrespects you, manipulates you, or treats you like you are replaceable, your first instinct may be to make them feel what you felt. You want them to regret it. You want them to lose something. You want them to understand the pain they caused. That reaction is human. When you have been hurt deeply, part of you wants the other person to experience even a fraction of what you experienced. You may imagine the perfect comeback, the perfect moment to expose them, or the day they finally realize they lost someone valuable. But the longer you hold on to that desire, the more control you give to the person who hurt you. They may no longer be in your life, yet they are still influencing your thoughts, your emotions, and your decisions. That is why walking away is more powerful than people realize. It is not simply leaving a situation, it is taking your attention back. It is deciding that you will no longer spend your energy trying to teach someone a lesson they may never be willing to learn. But revenge keeps you emotionally connected to the very person you are trying to escape. Walking away is not about pretending that what happened was acceptable. It is about deciding that their behavior no longer deserves access to your time, attention, or peace. You do not need the perfect final argument. You do not need to expose every lie. You do not need to make them jealous or prove that your life became better without them. Sometimes you will never receive the apology you deserved. Sometimes the person who hurt you will continue telling themselves that they were right. They may even make you look like the problem because accepting responsibility would force them to confront their own behavior. You have to be strong enough to accept that you cannot control the story they tell. Your peace cannot depend on someone else's ability to admit that they were wrong. Sometimes the most powerful response is simply becoming unavailable. Think about how much energy revenge requires. You have to keep thinking about the person, watching what they are doing, wondering whether they noticed your absence, planning what to say, or looking for an opportunity to make them feel small. You may have physically left, but mentally, you are still living inside the conflict. And this is where revenge becomes a trap. You think you are punishing them, but you are often punishing yourself. Every time you check their life, talk about them, replay the argument, or imagine how you will get even, you reopen the same wound. You are allowing yesterday's disrespect to steal another piece of today's peace. At some point, you have to ask yourself whether winning against them is really worth losing yourself. Real detachment looks different. You leave, you learn the lesson, and you keep moving. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, you do not have to convince them to respect you. You can simply reduce their access to you. If someone betrays your trust, you do not have to spend months making them pay. You can accept that they showed you who they are and make your next decision accordingly. This does not mean becoming passive or allowing people to walk over you. There is a difference between peace and weakness. You can hold someone accountable, enforce a boundary, end a relationship, protect yourself, and refuse future access without becoming consumed by hatred. Sometimes the strongest boundary is not a dramatic confrontation. It is simply no longer being available for the same pattern. There is also something deeply powerful about refusing to become the person who hurt you. If they lied, you do not need to become a liar. If they manipulated you, you do not need to manipulate them back. If they tried to provoke you, you do not need to give them the satisfaction of controlling your emotions. Your character should not become a casualty of someone else's behavior. And eventually, you realize something important. Closure does not always come from them regretting what they did. Sometimes closure comes from realizing you no longer need anything from them. You stop waiting for their message. You stop wondering whether they miss you. You stop checking whether they have changed. You stop measuring your healing by how badly they seem to be doing. Your life becomes bigger than the situation that once hurt you. You start building new routines, strengthening your character, improving your work, taking care of your body, and surrounding yourself with people who do not require you to constantly defend your worth. You do not need an apology. You do not need an explanation. You do not need revenge. You simply need enough self-respect to say, "This is no longer acceptable in my life," and have the discipline to leave. 8. Don't chase the person who replaced you. One of the most painful experiences in life is being replaced by someone you thought would never let you go. It can happen in relationships, friendships, or even professional environments. One day, you feel important to someone. You believe there is a connection or place in their life that belongs to you. Then suddenly, their attention shifts, someone else enters the picture, and you find yourself wondering how you became so easy to replace. That moment can trigger something dangerous inside you. You start comparing yourself to the person who replaced you. You look at their appearance, personality, lifestyle, achievements, and everything they seem to offer. You start asking yourself, what do they have that I don't? You may even begin changing yourself just to compete with them. You become more available. You send more messages. You try harder to impress. You post things hoping they will notice. You may even try to make them jealous or remind them of everything you once did for them. But the more you chase, the more you communicate one thing. I need you to choose me. And that is where you lose your power. If someone has chosen to replace you, let them make that choice. You don't have to fight for a position that should never have required begging. You don't have to convince someone of your value after they have already decided to overlook it. This doesn't mean you should become cold or pretend you don't care. Being hurt is normal. Feeling rejected is normal. Missing someone is normal. You are human. The goal isn't to eliminate those emotions. The goal is to refuse to let them control your behavior. You can miss someone without contacting them. You can love someone without chasing them. You can be disappointed without humiliating yourself. That is emotional strength. Think about what happens when you chase someone who has already moved on. Every attempt to get their attention becomes another opportunity for rejection. Every unanswered message makes you feel worse. Every picture you see of them with someone else creates another wound. And every time you check whether they have returned, you place your emotional well-being in their hands. You're essentially saying, my peace depends on what you decide to do. Never give another person that much control over you. Being replaced also does not mean you were inferior. People choose different people for different reasons. Sometimes relationships end because people change. Sometimes priorities change. Sometimes attraction changes. Sometimes someone simply wants something different. Their decision is not automatically a verdict on your worth. The person they chose may be attractive, successful, or have qualities you don't possess. Let them. You don't need to defeat them. Your life is not a competition against the person who came after you. Many people lose themselves here. They become obsessed with proving that the new person isn't better. They watch their social media, analyze their pictures, compare lifestyles, and secretly hope the relationship fails. But think about how much energy that consumes. You are spending your days studying someone who may not even be thinking about you. That isn't revenge. That's self-abandonment. The strongest thing you can do is step away from the competition entirely. Stop asking, how can I make them regret choosing someone else? Start asking, why am I still allowing their choice to determine how I see myself? That question changes everything. Your life shouldn't become a performance designed to get one person's attention. Don't suddenly become successful just so they can see what they lost. Don't buy expensive things just to create jealousy. Don't post your happiness hoping they are watching. Improve yourself, absolutely. Become stronger, become healthier, build your career, make more money, develop your confidence, learn, create. But do it because you want your life to become better, not because you're waiting for someone from your past to notice. There is a huge difference between growth and revenge. Revenge keeps you emotionally connected to the person who hurt you. Growth sets you free from them. And sometimes, the hardest part isn't letting someone go. It's accepting that they may never come back. You may never receive the apology you wanted. They may never realize what they lost. They may never contact you again. They may continue living their life as if nothing happened. And you have to be okay with that. Your healing cannot depend on their regret. If they come back one day, that is their decision. If they don't, that is also their decision. Either way, your life must continue moving forward. Self-respect isn't saying, I don't need anyone. That's ego. Self-respect is saying, I can deeply care about someone and still walk away when they no longer value my presence. That's strength. Sometimes you have to accept that a chapter ended without the ending you wanted. You don't get to rewrite every ending. You don't get to make everyone understand your perspective. You don't get to force someone to appreciate you. But you do get to decide what happens next. You can spend another year wondering why they chose someone else. Or you can spend that year becoming someone you are proud to be. You can keep checking their life. Or you can start building your own. You can keep asking whether they miss you. Or you can become so invested in your future that the question stops mattering. And eventually, you realize something powerful. You were never supposed to spend your life convincing someone to stay. The right people won't require you to constantly prove why you deserve a place in their life. So if someone replaced you, let them. Grieve what you lost. Learn what the experience taught you. Then turn your attention back toward yourself. Don't chase the person who replaced you. Build a life so meaningful that you no longer feel the need to chase anyone who walked away from it. Because your greatest victory isn't making them regret losing you. Your greatest victory is reaching the point where you no longer need them to. 9. Let yourself grieve. Sometimes the hardest part of moving on is accepting that you are actually grieving. You may still be functioning, going to work, talking to people, laughing, and living your normal life, while deep inside you are carrying the weight of something you lost. And grief is not limited to death. You can grieve a relationship, a friendship, a dream, a version of yourself, or even the future you thought you were going to have with someone. Sometimes you are not grieving the person themselves. You are grieving the memories, the plans, the promises, and the life you imagined would happen. That is why healing can feel so confusing. You may know that leaving was the right decision, yet still miss them. You may know they treated you badly, yet still wish things had turned out differently. You may understand that the relationship was unhealthy, yet still feel a deep emptiness when it ends. Do not shame yourself for that. You do not have to hate someone in order to move on from them. You do not have to pretend you never cared. And you do not have to convince yourself that the entire relationship was meaningless just because it ended badly. Let yourself feel what you feel. Cry if you need to cry. Sit with the memories. Admit that you are disappointed. Admit that you miss them. Admit that you are angry. Admit that part of you still wishes things could have been different. You are not weak because you are hurting. You are human. The danger comes when you refuse to grieve and instead try to escape the pain. You immediately jump into another relationship. You constantly distract yourself. You drink, party, scroll endlessly, chase attention, or pretend you do not care. You tell everyone, I'm fine, while secretly checking their social media every night. That does not eliminate the pain, it only delays it. Unprocessed grief has a way of following you. You may carry the same insecurity into your next relationship. You may become emotionally distant because you are afraid of being hurt again. You may become desperate for reassurance because you never dealt with the abandonment you experienced before. This is why grieving is not about staying stuck in the past. It is about allowing the past to move through you. There will eventually come a day when you can remember what happened without feeling like you need to go back. You will remember the person without needing their attention. You will think about what you lost without believing that your entire future disappeared with it. But you cannot rush yourself there. Healing does not happen because you force yourself to stop caring. It happens because you slowly learn that caring about what happened does not mean you have to keep living inside it. Give yourself permission to mourn the chapter before you begin writing the next one, because sometimes closure is not getting an apology, an explanation, or another conversation. Sometimes closure is simply accepting. It mattered to me, it hurt me, and now I am choosing to let it go. That is not weakness, that is healing. And understand this, grieving does not always look like crying. Sometimes it looks like losing motivation. Sometimes it looks like being unusually quiet, struggling to concentrate, feeling exhausted, or suddenly remembering something that you thought you had already moved past. You might feel completely fine for several days, and then have one difficult night where everything comes rushing back. Do not mistake that difficult day for failure. Healing is rarely a straight line. There are days when you feel stronger, and there are days when the memories feel fresh again. That does not mean you are going backward. It means you are processing something that mattered to you. Progress is not measured by never thinking about the person again. Sometimes progress is thinking about them and realizing you no longer feel the need to reach out. There may also be moments when you miss the good parts and forget the reasons you had to leave. That is normal. The mind often romanticizes what was beautiful while minimizing what was painful. When that happens, remind yourself that you are allowed to miss the good memories without reopening a door that needed to close. You can appreciate what someone meant to you and still accept that they are no longer meant to be part of your life. You can love someone and still choose yourself. You can forgive someone and still keep your distance. You can remember the past with gratitude without making it your future. Most importantly, do not turn your grief into a reason to question your worth. Someone leaving does not mean you were not enough. Someone choosing another person does not make you replaceable. A relationship ending does not erase everything valuable about you. Sometimes people leave because circumstances change. Sometimes people make selfish choices. Sometimes two people simply become incompatible. And sometimes you discover that the person you loved was never capable of giving you the kind of love, loyalty, or respect you needed. Whatever the reason, their decision does not determine your value. So give yourself time. Stop demanding that you should already be over it. Stop comparing your healing to someone else's. Stop pretending that being unaffected is the same thing as being strong. Real strength is having the courage to face the pain without allowing the pain to define you. Let yourself grieve. Let yourself remember. Let yourself cry. Then, little by little, let yourself rebuild. One day, you will realize that you are no longer waiting for the past to change. You are no longer hoping for a different ending. You are simply grateful that you survived the chapter and strong enough to begin another one. And when that day comes, you will understand that letting yourself grieve was never about holding on to what you lost. It was about finally making peace with it. 10. Stop checking their social media. The moment someone hurts you, betrays you, replaces you, or walks away, one of the hardest habits to break is checking their social media. You tell yourself you are only going to look for a few seconds. Maybe you want to see what they are doing. Maybe you want to know if they miss you. Maybe you want to see whether they have moved on. Or maybe you are secretly hoping to find something that proves they are not as happy as they appear. But every time you check, you give them another piece of your attention. You may not be speaking to them anymore, but you are still allowing them to occupy space in your mind. You wake up and check their story. You notice who they follow. You look at their likes. You analyze their captions. You wonder who took that picture. You see them smiling and immediately start asking yourself whether they are happier without you. That is not peace. That is emotional surveillance. And the worst part is that social media rarely gives you the truth. It gives you carefully selected moments. Someone can post a picture looking completely happy while privately struggling. Someone can look like they have moved on while still carrying emotional baggage. Someone can post a new relationship without actually having healed from the old one. You are trying to understand someone's entire emotional life through a few pictures and 15-second videos. Stop. You do not need more information. You need distance. Every time you check their page, you reopen a wound you were trying to close. You may have spent 3 days feeling better, then one picture can pull you straight back into the same emotions. Suddenly you are angry again. You are comparing yourself. You are wondering what went wrong. You are imagining conversations that will never happen. And then you wonder why you cannot move forward. Sometimes healing requires accepting that there are things you no longer need to know. You do not need to know who they are dating. You do not need to know where they are going. You do not need to know whether they miss you. You do not need to know whether they regret losing you. You do not need to know whether their new relationship is better or worse than yours was. Their life is no longer your assignment. The strongest thing you can do is become completely uninterested in information that only makes you emotionally unstable. If you have to mute them, mute them. If you have to unfollow them, unfollow them. If you need to delete the conversation, delete it. If you keep searching their name, remove the temptation. Do whatever creates enough distance for your mind to finally breathe. And understand this: not checking does not mean you do not care. It means you care about yourself more. There will be moments when curiosity hits you hard. You will wonder, what if I just check one time? That is the exact moment you need to remember why you stopped. You are not missing anything by protecting your peace. In fact, every time you resist the urge, you take a little more control back. You teach yourself that you do not need constant updates about someone who is no longer responsible for your happiness. Eventually, something changes. You stop wondering what they are doing. You stop imagining their life. You stop comparing your progress to theirs. And one day, you realize you went an entire week without checking, then a month. Then you genuinely stop caring. That is when you know you are healing. Because real closure is not always getting an explanation from the person who hurt you. Sometimes closure is reaching a point where you no longer need to know anything about them. Let them post. Let them move on. Let them live their life. You have a life of your own to build. The person who keeps looking backward cannot fully appreciate what is waiting ahead. So stop checking their social media. Stop searching for signs, and stop measuring your worth against what they choose to display online. Your attention is valuable. Do not keep giving it to someone you are trying to release. Sometimes the most powerful way to move on is simply to stop looking. If there is one thing you take away from this, let it be this: stop giving your attention to people you are trying to leave behind. You do not need to watch their life to prove that you have moved on. You do not need to see them regret losing you. You do not need to know who they are with, what they are doing, or whether they are happier without you. Your job is not to keep looking backward. Your job is to rebuild yourself. So unfollow the page, close the app, put your phone down, and start investing that attention into your own life. Because one day, you will realize that the person you were desperately trying to stop thinking about has become someone you no longer think about at all. And that is real freedom. Let them live their life. You go build yours.